This is a CBS3 Storm Watch update.
Good evening. I'm meteorologist Kate Bilo, updating you on our situation as Tropical Storm Elsa nears the region. We're already seeing the outer bands of rain from Elsa work their way into southern Delaware and the Jersey Shore. We still have strong thunderstorms to the north as well. Those are lifting north as Elsa starts to move in. Elsa is moving to the north and east. It is still a tropical storm with sustained winds of 50 miles per hour and will likely be just that strong when it moves over our area later on tonight. This storm does have a few tornado warnings associated with it across portions of Virginia and North Carolina right now. Right now, you can see storms have broken out to the north. Right now, we've got heavy downpours over the Lehigh Valley into Berks County as well, parts of Montgomery County. That is lifting north, and then we start to watch the threat from Elsa move in later on tonight. So a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for all of southeastern Pennsylvania until 9 o'clock tonight. Then the tropical storm threat really overnight tonight. This tropical storm warning for all of our coastal counties, southern Burlington County as well, the coastal waters, that goes through Friday morning. That's for flooding rain, damaging wind, and strong thunderstorms. We're also under a flash flood watch, the vast majority of the area under a flash flood watch. I think the heaviest rainfall, the axis of heaviest rain, will be over interior South Jersey toward the shore points, but there will be tropical downpours even north and west of the city. So timing Elsa's effects, those outer rain bands likely get to the city by about 8 o'clock tonight. Tropical downpours starting as those bands move in, but the brunt of the storm is from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's when we'll feel the strongest winds and heaviest rain. It is a quick moving storm, though. Elsa will exit by 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so that is good news. But of course, that's still hours of heavy rainfall for parts of the area. So by 11 o'clock, there's the heaviest rain over southern Delaware, shifting into parts of South Jersey by about 2:15 a.m., pouring Cumberland County, Camden, Gloucester, Atlantic, Cape May County, and you can see some tropical downpours even breaking out closer to the city. By about 6 a.m., the worst of it starts to move out. But again, we're going to have to watch for the threat for flooding rainfall in some spots, especially here in the coastal plain. 2, 3, possibly 4+ inches of rain before all is said and done. And we'll have to also watch for the threat for severe weather. Oftentimes we see tornadoes spin up with tropical systems, mainly on the eastern side, which would be right over the shore points. We are going to be with you throughout the remainder of this evening with hourly updates here on CBS3 and also on CBSN. Make sure you find us on your local provider. Stay with us through the night. Hourly updates right through the overnight hours. We will have complete coverage at 10 o'clock on the CW Philly and back here on CBS3 at 11 o'clock. And then tomorrow morning, team coverage of Elsa. The forecast also, of course, available anytime at cbsphilly.com. Please stay safe. Stay with us as Tropical Storm Elsa moves in. We'll return you now to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
This has been a CBS3 Storm Watch update. From the Eyewitness News Weather Center, this is a CBS3 Storm Watch update.
Good morning, everyone. I am meteorologist Matt Peterson. It's just before 3 o'clock in the morning, and we are breaking in this morning to talk about a tornado warning that has been spawned by Tropical Storm Elsa as it continues to make its way across the Delaware Valley. Here is Storm Scan for you right off the bat. We are talking about this warning, which is down in South Jersey here in parts of Cumberland, Cape May, and Atlantic counties. Right now, we are, again, just before 3 o'clock in the morning. So this tornado warning for Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland counties till 3:30 this morning. Currently, this system moving just around 35 miles an hour or so. So right now, according to the National Weather Service, at just around 2:50 this morning, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over the Longport area. We're talking about near Ocean City. And right now, it is moving 35 miles an hour to the north and west. So it is moving inland at about 35 miles an hour. This is a radar indicated situation. We are not right now we do not have that ground confirmation of an actual tornado on the ground. But again, radar indicated means that we are seeing that rotation, at least on the radar picture. So that is why we do have this tornado warning again going for another 33 minutes. So just got some new information also from Lauren Casey, who's in with me this morning. The tornado, or the storm itself right now, where the rotation could possibly be, is passing over Summers Point, and the next place that we're going to be talking about within this warning is the Estelle Manor area of South Jersey. So we're going to take the warning off of the screen here, and what we'll do is we're going to zoom in and get a look at just exactly where we are talking when it comes to South Jersey here. So there is Ocean City within the watch box. We also have Corbin City, Egg Harbor. There's Estelle Manor, like we were talking about. We continue to kind of zoom in here. We have Summers Point right along Route 9. Anybody familiar with the Jersey Shore knows that Route 9, and then also the Garden State Parkway running right there past Summers Point and just to the west of Ocean City. As we continue to move into more interior parts of South Jersey, we'll zoom in a little bit more. You have Route 49, Route 50, all of these places just around the Mays Landing area. Looks like it's just outside of our warning box right now. But again, Route 40, these are all the roads that we take to and from the shore a lot of the time, and that is where we have right now the worst of this system. So that is the kind of the radar picture and geographically where we are talking about as we get a look at what we like to call the velocity image here. So that is where we're going to be able to kind of get a look at where some of that rotation is. So we're going to take away our satellite picture, and then we're also going to go into, again, that velocity image for us and see what we're able to see here when it comes to the rotation. So this is the Philadelphia radar. We'll switch it over to the Fort Dix radar in South Jersey to see if we can get a little bit of a better picture of what exactly we hope to be looking at when it comes to the velocity. And right now it is not, our system is not really switching out of the Philadelphia radar to Fort Dix, but that's all right. We can still get an idea of where we are seeing some of this rotation. We'll kind of circle it for you here, but it is still, again, just around the Summers Point area, and it's where we typically get the greens and reds coming together sometimes because we're a little bit far away from the Philadelphia radar. What we're looking at here is this where I circled, which is, again, just a little bit to the east, or I should say a little bit to the west of Ocean City, and actually this rotation becoming a little bit broader, it looks like at this point. Again, I'll kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about here. It's where you can kind of see these different colors on the radar. Right now it's a little bit of purple and kind of black and white mixing in with the green, but that is kind of where we are seeing right now this broad rotation. Of course, just a couple of seconds ago before we had the newest scan from the radar, there was a little bit of red mixing in, and when we have the red and the green coming together, that's where we have that rotation in the atmosphere. Of course, the red is going away from the radar, the green is coming towards the radar, and when they're next to each other, we can experience that spin, which is, again, what we look for when we're talking about the potential of a possible tornado mixing in with this just regular old thunderstorm as well. So, again, this is what we're dealing with. It is our severe thunderstorm warning. It is our tornado warning that goes until 3:30 for Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland counties. So it is now 3 o'clock on the dot. So this is going to be going for another half an hour or so. And this is, of course, all part of a much larger system, which we know is Tropical Storm Elsa, which is continuing to work its way throughout the entire region. And I am able to now kind of switch over to our Fort Dix radar, which is a little bit closer to where the actual rotation is. Maybe gets you a slightly better picture, but as you can kind of see where the green and red comes together, there's this line of area where kind of parallel to Route 9 here and right along the Garden State Parkway. Again, I'll kind of circle where we're seeing that broad area of kind of the green and red coming together. And again, that is where we could have some of that rotation, but we're not actually seeing a real tight area of green and red coming together. We're not seeing that shear, that spin in the atmosphere. But again, with even this broad area of a little bit of spin, that does mean that we have the potential there for a tornado to develop. So we are continuing to watch this. Again, we're talking right now, you see just to the west of Summers Point. Again, I talked about Route 9 and the Garden State Parkway, and we can actually even zoom in a little bit more and get maybe a better idea of maybe even some local roads here. But again, there is West Laurel Drive, looks like it's now just to the east. So Route 52 just to the east of where we're seeing some of this broad rotation. Again, right along the Garden State Parkway, so now just a little bit to the west of Route 9 where maybe the worst of this storm is. And as we continue to head south towards the southern portion of our warned area, which right now kind of ends right there is Ocean City. So we see Central Avenue, the main drag right through Ocean City. And then as you kind of cross back over towards 9 and the Garden State Parkway, that's where the southern edge of this tornado warning is. And that's kind of where we're also seeing maybe a little bit of a difference here in that broad rotation compared to something that's maybe a little bit more localized. And again, I'll circle that for you too. It's where that little bit of green is kind of jutting out from the line. And then again, it's kind of surrounded by the red area. So that could maybe be another spot where we're still seeing some of that broad rotation. Again, none of this at this point is necessarily overly tight. Nothing is giving the indication that we are seeing a tornado on the ground. But anytime we could potentially have kind of this broad circulation going on, that's what we need to keep an eye out for. So just got an update from the National Weather Service as well. This came in just 2 minutes ago. They are going to be continuing this tornado warning for the radar indicated possibility of a tornado for Atlantic Cape May as well as Cumberland counties. This is still going until 3:30 in the morning. And again, what they are saying is, at 3 o'clock, so just a couple of minutes ago, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Summers Point. Of course, it's near Ocean City and is now moving northwest at 30 miles an hour. If you remember originally when we broke in just about 8 minutes or so ago, that was moving about 35 miles an hour. So this line in this area of rotation has dipped in speed just a little bit, but still moving fairly quickly in the northwest direction. Again, now 30 miles an hour rather than 35 miles an hour. And of course, when we do have these kind of situations, if you are up and listening to us here this morning on CBS, or you got the alert and you just turned your television on, you want to get to the lowest level of your house. Now, I know a lot of places near the shore, of course, they don't have the basement. So what you want to be doing is getting to the most interior room of your house. You want to put as many walls in between yourself and the outside as you can, because if we do get flying debris, which of course with a tornado or any kind of system with very strong winds, it's a very distinct possibility. We can see kind of that flying debris. So you want to, again, put yourself in the most interior room of your house, and you want to kind of just put, again, as many walls in between yourself and the outside as you can. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the areas that are included within this tornado warning. Right now, we're talking about the Vineland area as well. Ocean City, Cumberland, Summers Point, which we just mentioned. Of course, the system kind of moving just a little bit away from Summers Point at this point. Northfield, Margate City, that looks like it should be far enough east from where we're seeing this broad rotation that we really shouldn't be overly concerned about a tornado possibility in these areas that are a little bit to the east. So again, Margate City, Longport, those kind of areas that are closer to the shore starting to move away from you. But again, Estelle Manor, also talking about, again, the Vineland area, and then also, Cumberland as well. So Lauren Casey, again, here with me right now. She's kind of showing me a little bit more of a zoomed in picture. And Lauren, I'm just going to stand right next to you real quick. I have the microphone on. Just real quick, I know the folks on TV can't see what you're looking at, but just kind of explain it real quick, what you're showing me right now.
Correlation coefficient. So it's another application that we have on radar. So it kind of gives us a better look at a specific location where we could be seeing, in fact, this tornado on the ground. Of course, we do have rotation on the radar. So the storm is rotating. We just can't confirm that it is on the ground, but we need to treat it as such. So where we're seeing this indication on radar with this different application is right near the Linwood area. So just to the northeast of Summers Point right now. And that's going to progress off to the northwest, as Matt has been telling you, at about 30 miles per hour. So next up looks like Egg Harbor Township. So we can see that is moving up towards Egg Harbor Township. So if you're in Egg Harbor Township, please, as Matt was mentioning, seek safe shelter, interior room, the most walls around you. Want to stay away from windows. Even if this cell is not producing a tornado, it is producing strong gusty winds, which are capable of damage. So I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. And actually, I think we're actually potentially able to pull up that correlation coefficient on our system. I'm going to see if we can actually do that. And I believe, here we go. We can pull up correlation coefficient, and we'll zoom out and we'll see there is exactly what you're talking about right there, right along the Garden State Parkway, moving, was just a little bit to the south of Egg Harbor. again, right along the Garden State Parkway, and this is moving at about 30 miles an hour to the north and west. So let's circle what Lauren was talking about, which is this area right here, again, just to the west of Route 9 and just along the Garden State Parkway. And this is an indication, again, that we have the potential there for at least a radar indicated rotation and mixing in then with our correlation coefficient, which is showing you kind of different things when it comes to our particles coming down from the sky or things getting lifted up because of potential wind damage. So that is now just to the south of Egg Harbor City, or I should just say Egg Harbor, not Egg Harbor City, Egg Harbor, and now continuing to move to the west at 30 miles an hour. And let's put a track on this for you as well. So there is our area. We'll actually zoom out before we do that. So let's go back to our tool. And again, moving kind of to the northwest at 30 miles an hour, and where we're going to be seeing this in the next couple of spots. So we have Thompsontown at 319, so it's 307 right now. So just about 12 minutes from now, we could see this in the Thompsontown area. And then at 322, it will be moving towards Estelle Manor, which we've talked about now a couple of times, kind of being in the path of where this rotation could be and where some of the worst of this storm that is now tornado warned. Again, 322 for the Estelle Manor area. And there are other cities mixed in, of course, within that cone right now of the timing, but some of them not necessarily popping up on our map. So we'll just kind of give you a better idea of where exactly else we could be seeing this. And some of the other spots that are close by, again, Egg Harbor Township, and then moving up to the Estelle Manor area. And then Mays Landing, of course, is just a little bit to the north of Estelle Manor. It's just outside right now of our tornado warning box. But with this moving in that general direction, even though Mays Landing not in the box, you would want to probably be taking precautions at this point too, as this continues to work its way to the northwest. Now, some of the worst of the rotation, if we go back to our velocity image and kind of see where we are going to be just going straight back to velocity, and we'll get rid of our correlation coefficient right now, and we'll also drop our tracking box as well. And you can definitely see where we're getting a little bit of a bulge in the line once again, and that correlates basically right where we had that kind of bright spot on the correlation coefficient that Lauren had originally brought up. So we're actually, if we even zoom in even further, we'll take you to where we actually even see a little bit here of extra brightness when it comes to the red, and where the front edge of the green is kind of coming together. And where that is, that's probably going to be our best chance right now to see any kind of rotation here on the leading edge of that kind of green and red coming together. There's that little bit of a bulge, and that does mean that, again, we're seeing that radar indicated spin within the atmosphere. So we're going to continue to watch this area within our tornado warning. So let's go back actually to just our plain reflectivity, just our plain regular looking radar, and we'll take again off this circle, and we'll be zooming back out to kind of just give you an idea of what we're seeing here. So the tornado warning has actually been, it's been reduced in size just a little bit. This originally extended all the way to the shore. It included cities like Ocean City, Margate City, Longport were all originally within our tornado warning box. That has now, those areas have now been removed, which is good news as this continues to work its way north and west. Those cities are no longer in the tornado warning. However, this is still going to continue for another 20 minutes until 3:30 this morning. So it is still a tornado warning for the counties of the very kind of northern edge of Cape May County. But right now we're kind of focused on Atlantic County, New Jersey, and then also the far eastern section, kind of just a little bit to the east of Laurel Lake in Cumberland County. That is where the tornado warning goes to when it comes to the western side. So again, this is the whole situation right now, going for another now, just another 19 minutes till 3:30 this morning, our tornado warning. And looking back here with the National Weather Service, just to, let's see, it is 3:11. So at 3:09 this morning, just a couple of minutes ago, they once again said they're going to continue this tornado warning for the radar indicated situation. Again, we have not gotten any actual ground confirmation. We have not seen this tornado, if it actually is a tornado that has reached the ground. We are not getting any ground confirmation at this point. However, the National Weather Service does believe that there is still enough rotation in the radar idea of a radar indicated situation to continue the tornado warning until 3:30 for Atlantic, Cape May, and again, Cumberland counties. And just around 3:08 this morning, they are putting the area of rotation, kind of the area where the worst of the storm is. They are saying that was located over the English Creek community, or just about 8 miles northwest of Ocean City, and has now picked up speed again. So we originally had this moving at about 35 miles an hour. Then we saw it drop down in speed to about 30 miles an hour, and now it has picked back up and moving northwest still in direction, now at about 35 miles an hour. So we're kind of hovering in that same 30 to 35 mile an hour range over the course of this entire warning. And that's a quick moving system. So it is imperative that you get into your shelter, or you kind of get yourself safe as quickly as possible if you are within the warning box. And that is because this is, again, it's going to be moving, it's going to be on top of you, and it is going to be gone extremely fast. You think when you're driving your car 35 miles an hour in your car, that doesn't necessarily feel like it's moving very fast. However, it is. So you have to think about that. You're driving on your local road 35 miles an hour. That's how fast this system is moving. So again, just have that in the back of your mind. So if you are in an area like Corbin City, again, if you're also in a place like English Creek, you want to be, or really basically anywhere in kind of the interior portion now of Atlantic County, and then also in the far kind of eastern, almost northeastern section of Cumberland County, you want to be getting into that safe area of your house. Again, putting as many walls in between yourself and the outside as you possibly can. And we do want to just kind of maybe zoom out, and I'll show you the entire kind of setup that we have here. And you can see that this, of course, is all being spawned by Tropical Storm Estelle, which continues to make its way up the Atlantic coastline. Right now, the center of it is probably just a little bit to the south of Cape May. I think that the center right now is probably somewhere in where I'm circling right there. So again, kind of just off the coast of Delaware and just a little bit south of the southern tip there of South Jersey, just off the southern tip of Cape May. Now, typically when we have these kind of situations where we have a tropical system, we're talking about the right front quadrant, where we get some of the worst conditions with some of the strongest thunderstorms, because with the counterclockwise circulation, you usually end up seeing that area get the most convergence, and that's where we get the most rising air, and thus you get some of the strongest storms. Doesn't mean that you can't have bad parts of the storm in other quadrants, the other three, but typically that's where we see the worst. And this is kind of right on the edge of the right front and right left quadrant. So we're looking, again, right where we typically should be for these kinds of bad weather situations, these kinds of severe weather situations. It's happening right where we think it would. And if you've been watching the Eyewitness Weather Team for the last couple of days, myself, Kate Bilo, Lauren Casey, we've been talking to you about this threat for potential tornadoes in that right front quadrant, probably for the last 24 to 36 hours or so. We've been giving you these updates that, yes, it could happen. This kind of storm can produce tornadoes, and that is what we're seeing here this morning. It's actually the second one that we've had with this system. The first one came a little bit before midnight, but right now for another 15 minutes, we do have our tornado warning for Atlantic, Cumberland, and Cape May counties until 3:30 this morning. Have not gotten anything extra just yet from the National Weather Service. So what I think we will do is let's go back to our what we call the sweeping radar, and we'll take a look again at some of our velocity image, see if we're still seeing some of that broad rotation, if it has tightened up, and we'll see if we need to continue. We'll see if the National Weather Service then needs to continue this tornado warning beyond 3:30 or so in the morning. So there is the watch box, or the warning box itself. Like I said, it's really right now almost completely out of Cape May County. Right now, the only area of Cape May County that's in this is in the very, very far northern tip. So that is pretty much out of the picture, which is some good news. However, Atlantic County, and then again moving into northeastern parts of Cumberland County is where we were talking about. And actually, we have now seen that tornado warning has been canceled. 3:16 this morning, the National Weather Service officially now saying cancels the tornado warning for Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland County. So that is, of course, great news for us. It means that we are no longer seeing either an indication on radar of in the velocity or what Lauren brought up earlier, which is the correlation coefficient. We're not seeing anything on radar that is indicating that this cell is still capable of producing a tornado. However, we're still getting heavy rain, we are still getting the dangerous lightning, and we are still getting strong gusty winds. So while this is no longer a tornado-warned storm, this is still all part of Tropical Storm Elsa, and it is still a very big issue for us, probably for the next few hours or so. So that ends our coverage for the time being, but we're going to be back in just about 45 minutes or so at 4 o'clock this morning. We'll give you a full update on Elsa as well as your local headlines. And of course, if we do get another warning, whether it be a tornado or something else that warrants us to cut in, we will be here to tell you all about it. We'll send you back to programming now.
This has been a CBS3 Storm Watch Update.
Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Matt Peterson back with you on this Friday morning, I should say, 3:40 now. We're coming in to our coverage once more to talk to you about a renewed tornado warning that has now been issued once again across South Jersey. This one for Atlantic, Burlington, and Ocean counties. This goes until 4:15 this morning. If you remember, just only about 20 or so minutes ago, we had our our second tornado warning of the night. The first one came just a little bit before midnight. Then we had one that came just around 3 or so in the morning, and then now we are dealing with our third, which is now going until 4:15, Atlantic, Burlington, and Ocean counties across South Jersey. You see our warning box there, our text box, and we'll actually now show you exactly where that warning is and what we're talking about. It is the red box that you are seeing, and I'll kind of outline it for you right here, right there. And again, this does extend all the way back to the short points at this point, and this is now moving at 20 miles an hour to the northwest. It is moving in a very similar direction as our previous tornado warning, but it is just a little bit slower. If you remember our tornado warning before, that was moving about 30 to 35 miles an hour. This one moving at about 20 miles an hour. This is located near the Tuckerton area, and then some other cities within this warning box at this point are Egg Harbor City, Port Republic, Bass River State Forest. We're talking about New Gretna. We're also talking about Wading River and also Mystic Island. And right now, Lauren Casey with me this morning saying that she's seeing that this is moving over the Bass River area. So again, that was an area that we were just talking about, the Bass River State Forest, within this tornado warning going now until 4:15. So for just a little bit less than another half an hour for us, once again, across South Jersey. These storms are being spawned by Tropical Storm Elsa, which is continuing to make its way across the entire region right now, with some of the worst of the storm, of course, happening across South Jersey, where we have some of the strongest winds, and we're also dealing with the heaviest rain. But let's talk again a little bit more about this tornado warning, which has just been issued just north of the Brigantine area. We also see Galloway there. That's just a little bit to the north, the southern edge of that watch box, just a little bit north of Galloway. And then if we go back, as we were showing you before, we can get into our velocity here, and we can kind of maybe take a look at where some of that rotation is being is maybe potentially being seen, because just like our last tornado warning, this is a radar indicated situation. We are not actually right now seeing a tornado on the ground, or at least we have not gotten ground confirmation that there is an actual physical tornado working its way through South Jersey. But again, when we have these radar indicated situations, it means that we're seeing things on the radar, typically some rotation within the atmosphere, or maybe even a little bit of debris that's being picked up by some strong winds, where we can say with at least some certainty that there is the potential for there to be a tornado out there. So this is, again, our velocity. What we typically look for in these situations is kind of the green and red coming together, where the green moving towards the radar, the red is moving away from the radar. And when we see them kind of butting up next to one another, that gives us the indication that there is some spin going on. And like I said, I have Lauren Casey with me here this morning, and she said that it was moving over the Bass River area, and that is exactly correct. We'll zoom in over that section again, just right along the Garden State Parkway, just a little bit there to the west of Little Egg Harbor, and that is exactly what we are seeing. Here is that rotation. I'll circle it for you again, right along the Garden State Parkway, kind of right where Route 9 and the Garden State Parkway come together directly over the Bass River area. Lauren's with me here now as well, and she's kind of showing Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight couplet right now, which is indication that there is some pretty good rotation going on right over the Bass River area, really right over the town of Bass River as we speak.
Yeah, so if you are in Bass River, you want to be moving to the most interior room of your house. I know that a lot of the houses in the communities towards the shore don't allow the properties don't allow for basements. So you want to move to the most interior room of your house. You're putting as many walls in between yourself and the outside as you possibly can, and that will help to shelter you from any kind of flying debris if we do actually have a tornado. Now, again, we are not getting any actual indication that we are seeing any ground confirmation of this tornado right now. This is all still radar indicated, but right now, directly over the scan, we're now seeing on our velocity image here that kind of green, red, a lot of that right next to each other is kind of been kind of dissipated there. So that's maybe an indication that that rotation was a little bit broad. But as Lauren said, she was taking a look at a different radar app from what we have here actually showing on air, and that was actually relatively tight. So even though the latest scan shows that maybe that some of that rotation has broadened out or has weakened, it doesn't necessarily mean that one scan later we can't see it turn back into a relatively tight couplet. So of course we are continuing to watch this situation. This going until 4:15 this morning. So just for another about 23 minutes or so, we do have this tornado warning until 4:15. So that is right now over the Bass River area. That is our area of concern when it comes to the actual potential for where we could see that radar indicated tornado right now. But of course, everywhere that we're actually in this tornado warned box, which does include parts of Burlington, Atlantic, and Ocean counties, that is of course everywhere that we are concerned. So if we actually do kind of go back towards the Bass River area, again, it's kind of right where Route 9 and the Garden State Parkway come together. And what we'll do is we'll put our tracking tool on this. Of course, this is moving right now at about 20 miles an hour. And where that rotation was just right over Bass River, it's moving to the northwest, again, about 20 miles an hour. And some of the towns that do pop up in here are, again, there is the Wading River area, which we talked about before. So we also have Marigold at 3:49. So that is in just about a minute or so. If you're in the Marigold area, you want to be in that interior room of your house right now. The storm is right on top of you. And even if though it's only moving at 20 miles an hour, it's coming in quickly. It's going to be over top of you, and it is going to be gone relatively fast. So you need to be in your safe place now. Wading River, 3:57 this morning is where we're going to be seeing this move over top of you. And then we also have the Maxwell area. That is right around 4:09. We also are talking about Harrisville at 4:05. Tylertown is 4:15. So right about the time that this is starting to wind down, hopefully 4:15, that's when we'll see this system over the Tylertown area. And then just beyond the time frame of the tornado warning, which right now is scheduled to end at 4:15. So 4:18, we're going to see around Mount New Jersey. So again, this is moving inland. It's moving into interior New Jersey quickly at about 20 miles an hour. Our tornado warning going now until 4:15. Again, for portions of Atlantic, also Ocean, and as well as Burlington County. So right now, again, we're showing you the velocity image, which gives us an idea of if we are seeing any rotation out there right now. Anything that we do see is a little bit on the broad side, but the area that we are concerned with is, again, just near the Bass River area, a little bit where that purple is. You can see some of the green a little bit darker and a little bit lighter. So that is still where we are, our most concern is. That's where the best chance for rotation is right now. And again, this is kind of it's a very fluid situation. We've seen some very tight rotation, or at least what looks like tight rotation on the radar. And then one scan later, it started to broaden out and become a little bit weaker. But we have another scan coming through now. And again, not a whole lot has changed there. We are still seeing a little bit of lightening, meaning it's getting lighter. The color of the radar there is getting a little bit lighter, so we could potentially see maybe a little bit of some stronger wind moving in, again, where that purple is as well. So that's kind of our broad rotation area. I have meteorologist Lauren Casey is with me here this morning as well. Lauren, you've kind of been watching the National Weather Service chat. You've been looking on your phone, a different radar app. What do you got going for us?
Yeah, we have a new storm report in, Matt, from the National Weather Service and CIL-CD, a wind gust in Ludlam Bay, just north of CIL there, 79 miles per hour. As this line moved through the CIL City area that we're talking about right now, that we have that tornado warning in association with. So very potent line that is swinging across the shore and into South Jersey. So even if we don't have a tornado on the ground, this line is capable of producing very strong and intense winds, near 80 miles per hour. That's over hurricane strength, and that will do some damage, and that is the concern. Even if we don't have a tornado on the ground, these cells can still produce very intense and damaging winds. Now, we were talking over the last several days about the potential isolated tornado threat with tropical systems. It's certainly not uncommon. We see that even 2-3 days after landfall, that isolated tornado threat persisting, and they are most common on the eastern side of the storm. That's where the Jersey Shore is positioned right now, and South Jersey, as Tropical Storm Elsa makes its way across our region. 94% of tornadoes that occur with tropical cyclones occur on the eastern side of the storm, and thus we're contending with this right now. They tend to be weaker tornadoes. Okay, you're not going to see a monster tornado that you would see in a movie in the Midwest produced out of a tropical system, not in our area, but they're typically EF0s, EF1s, but even at those speeds, they can produce winds of 110 miles per hour, and that can do serious damage locally.
And, you know, Lauren, we've been seeing some areas, these pockets of heavy rain over the course of the last few hours and really since last evening. So now we have the saturated ground, and it's actually, I mean, it's shallow soil as you get close to the shore anyway. So if there's any kind of trees, and then as you get off the shore, you know, we have the pine barrens there. It doesn't take a whole lot of strong wind when the ground is saturated like that. If you get 70, 80 mile an hour wind gusts, it can knock trees over. It can just, it's more debris that falls, power outages, those kinds of things are easily something that happens when we have this kind of situation, again, with that saturated ground, and we add the flash flooding threat in there as well. Yeah,
it's a potentially dangerous situation. So really, if you can stay off the roads over the next several hours, Elsa will be out of here in just a few hours. But yeah, combined with that wind threat, the flash flooding threat, that potential for downed trees, that can cause injuries. We don't certainly want to see that. We've had a couple of flooding reports here. If I can look, let's see, Summers Point, Atlantic County, roadway flooding, Atlantic City, flooding around South Raleigh Avenue and the boardwalk. And then, of course, we had that, another wind gust, Beach Haven, Ocean County, 71 miles per hour. So again, the strongest activity we're seeing very isolated in concentration, but the isolated activity is very intense where we're seeing it.
Yeah, and Lauren, I wanted to bring the velocity back up, and we were talking about where we could see that rotation, and originally it was around the Bass River area through the Bass River State Forest. And tell me what you think. It looks like we can still see maybe a little bit now, possibly a little bit northwest of the Bass River area. I'll kind of tell you where I'm thinking on the radar here, kind of where that bulge is, just a little bit to the north. And I guess, yes, the north and west of the Bass River area. Again, it looks, again, not a whole lot going on, but potentially that could be why this tornado warning is still active until 4:15, even though some of that rotation looking to broaden out. I know, again, you're looking at a little bit of a different app on your phone, and so am I.
Definitely. It does look like the rotation is broadening out, but still very intense wind gusts showing up on our radar imagery, particularly on the application I'm looking at right now. So it's still producing intense winds, even if we're not seeing a tornado on the ground. So it can still produce property damage and potentially cause injuries.
Yeah, definitely. And we're also now seeing that our tornado warning box itself is starting to be a little bit smaller in size, which is good news. This is also what happened with our last tornado warning. Originally, it extended all the way to the shore, including towns like Brigantine and areas even just a little bit north of there, across portions, of Long Beach Island. Those areas are now out of our tornado warning box, which is some good news as this continues to race off to the north and west around 20 miles an hour or so. But we are, of course, still seeing in parts of Ocean, as well as now Burlington and the northern parts of Atlantic County as well. We do still have this tornado warning until 4:15. However, if you are closer to the shore, the Mystic Island area, you are right on the eastern edge of the boundary of our tornado warning box at this point. And then as you move closer again to areas like Brigantine and then also towards LBI, you are now out of the box. This is good news for you as this system continues to race off to the north and west. But of course, still a very dangerous dangerous situation for anyone that is in our warning box. So let's kind of just zoom back in here. We can see some areas that are still included in this, which are Port Republic, even though that looks like it could be out of the woods at this point because it's a little bit further to the south and maybe to the east of where we're maybe seeing some of that broad rotation. Of course, right over Bass River, you've heard Lauren and I talk about this multiple times here with this particular warning. It looked like there was some fairly strong rotation there originally. The Bass River area now looks like that is on the eastern side of maybe the worst of where the rotation could be, but still strong gusty winds and the heavy rain, as well as Little Egg Harbor, also now almost just out of our tornado warning box. As we head a little bit further though to the west, not a whole lot popping up right now when it comes to cities, but we do see there Mullica also right along Route 30, or just to the north, I should say, of Route 30, just in the far kind of western edge of our tornado warning box. This, again, going for another about 20 minutes or so until 4:15 this morning. The worst of this now kind of moving away from the Garden State Parkway and Route 9, moving a little bit more inland, a little bit more interior parts of South Jersey where we do have the pine areas. But, of course, we do still have plenty of folks that live in that area. And, of course, we do have some smaller towns as well. So if you are in the eastern sections of Burlington County, or also kind of the northern part of Atlantic County, you are still taking shelter here for just about another 20 minutes or so. And it looks like our warning box has just been removed, which is some good news. And as we check our National Weather Service chat room here, yes, 3:56 this morning, they have now canceled our tornado warning for Atlantic, Burlington, and Ocean counties. Of course, this was originally set to go until 4:15, is now 3:56, and the good news is it looks like they believe that the rotation has become either broad enough or the system has weakened just enough that they are able to cancel that tornado warning a little bit early. So that is some good news for us there. That does not mean that there are still not some very strong gusty winds. It doesn't mean that we're still not dealing with a very dangerous situation as we continue to track Tropical Storm Elsa as it moves through the South Jersey area and across portions of Delaware and the Delaware Valley as well. We are just about to 4 o'clock in the morning. So again, we are going to continue to track Elsa over the course of the next few hours. This is hopefully going to be kind of racing away from us as we get into the daylight hours then. And we're going to be also, again, hopefully seeing the end of this before too long here across much of the region. So again, it's 3:57 right now. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes at 4 o'clock with Eyewitness News this morning. For the time being, we'll send you to break.